Hi everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Lorraine Macar. We're gonna do something slightly different today because, as you may have noticed, the last 2 weeks I haven't been very consistent. There have been no weekly readings, and the reason for that is that I have been doing some soul searching. Not to say that I'm in a crisis, because a crisis would be a way too strong a word, but I've been doing some thinking. And the reason for that is I've been binge watching Leena Norms videos lately. She's awesome, blah blah blah. And one of her videos, the one that I will link below, is one about where she talks about 10 tips, 10 things that she's learned during her 10 years as a booktuber or YouTuber in general. And one of those things, and things that stuck with me, was that she said that your content should be homework for others. And that got me thinking, because I understood what she meant, that sometimes you have people that you watch and like, okay, I should still watch their latest video. And it's not really oh, I think they've got a video up, let's go watch. So I understood that. And it made me realize that I wouldn't watch my own content. At least not all of the content. I don't think everything that I do is interesting or entertaining, and there are ways to remedy that. And one of the things is also, it's okay also. I have a huge fandom, so it's very important for me to think about you guys. But I like the idea of learning and that this is a journey, so I'm going to change some things. I've been thinking about what to do to change that. So the idea that I've come up with at least is to go back to monthly wrap-ups or bi-monthly wrap-ups, to group books more, so that I don't know if I'm going to keep up with 2 videos a week. We'll see about that, but at least I have more space to think about other content. And for the rest, we'll see. But that has also made me think about my reading habits. And for the past couple of years, reading has been I've just been reading whatever came across my path. Everything that seemed slightly interesting, I would get to. And it's as if for a couple of years, at the end of my teens, beginning of my 20s, I didn't read that much. And now for, I don't know, 5-6 years, I've been completely back at it. And it's as if I hadn't eaten for a longer period of time, nearly starved to death. And now I finally have access to food, and the only thing I've been doing is just shoving everything in and still having an idea of, well, I didn't really like that, I'm not going to go back to that. But still just shoving everything in without very much of a second thought. And I think it might be time, I think it would elevate my reading, it would elevate my experiences if I start to think about that a little bit more. So I've set myself up with some prompts, with a monthly prompts for a TBR that I can then pick and choose from, because I'm still someone that just likes to pick up whatever I feel like, but I think I could guide it a little bit more. So not give myself very strict rules, but give myself some guidance. And before I get to the prompts, they're very light, that I've come up with, I think the most important thing for me is to realize that this is a path, this is flexible, I'm going to try this for now. If it doesn't work, I'll adapt it, I'll go back, I'll make it more strict, make it less strict, add things, put other things away. But the idea would be to think a little bit more about what I'm doing. Because I've got the project of Around the World in 80 books, but I've been doing that for 3 years, and I like that it's very low key. But it could be a little bit more key as well. It's not a huge effort this is one of the prompts, to force myself a little bit more to read 1 or 2 books set around the world in a month. I like doing that. It shouldn't be hard for me to do more. So one of the prompts, I've got a few prompts. One of the prompts is then 2 books from around the world. I was hesitating between 1 and 2. Stuck with 2. Then the idea, I'm part of a book club in Delft. So there's a monthly book club pick. I want to read more French. So one of the prompts, well, two of the prompts then, is also 2 French books every month. Purposefully decided they were just French books and not necessarily by French authors, because I just want to have more of a link with the language. I feel the French language and reading books in French is really one of the few ways, the few things I have that still connects me with France and with that part of my identity. And it's been slipping away. So 2 French books, 2 books by authors of color, because I need to diversify more actively, 1 nonfiction and 1 reread. It was already a goal of mine to reread 6 books this year, but I want to do that more. I've enjoyed it, first of all. Well, I keep forgetting about it. First of all, I keep forgetting about it. Second, I enjoyed it. And third, I think it would be interesting to visit back some old favorites. So those are my prompts. And that leads me to the second part of the video. I've already chosen my TBR then for September. It's not huge, but I'm going to go through it with you. And also the idea is that I can combine prompts, which I have done. The best example of that is, I think, well, let's just start with the first one. Under the book club pick that we have for this month is Weather by Jenny Offill. I don't know a lot about this. It was shortlisted for the Women's Prize, and I think it's about the weather, for obvious reasons. And it's from the point of view of a librarian. Don't know much about it. I like to go into it a little bit blind. Then one of the books in which I combine a lot of prompts is Faille by Yanick, Lahens. This, I have talked about it briefly before, and it's about the consequences of a big earthquake in Haiti. So this is a French book. Faille is flaws, but it's also like holes in the road. Or in rock and stuff. Anyway, it counts for French book, for around the world because it's set in Haiti, and for an author of color. And I've just been looking forward to reading this one. But I've been looking forward to reading all of these, so that's good. And then we've got the next French book is Germinal by Zola. I'm reading this because Pauline from Dancing Alone has this awesome project in which there's a read-along in which we read a Zola book, and I love Zola because, first of all, I like the way he describes so well what the world of the 19th century France was like, and once again, his main 20 books are about the Rougon-Macquart family, and I am a Macquart, so super happy that she's doing that, and I'm participating. I've already read this one. I've already read this last year even, but I don't mind because this is one of my favorite. It's a French book. It's a reread. And that's it. The other book that I'm going to read for my Around the World project is The Man with Compound Eyes by Wu Ming-Yi. This is again one of those books that I at one point put on my TBR list on Goodreads because someone talked about it, and I thought it sounded good, and I have since then forgotten what it's about, but I'd like to not have a very clear idea what they're about when I go in, because sometimes you just have different expectations and it colors the way you read. So I know this is set in Taiwan. I know there is some kind of catastrophe that happens to a family, and apparently there's a boy that is going to be sacrificed for a sea god. Very curious about this. I think it has a little bit to do with Taiwanese myths, but don't pin me on that. I have had this from the library already for a few weeks, and I need to get to it. So, another good book. And last but not least, I still have one non-fiction, and that is going to be Mijn, ontelbare indentiteiten by Sinan Cankaya. And this is a Dutch book, and this translates to My Innumerable Identities. And it's a kind of memoir by Sinan Cankaya in which he talks about how he finds it difficult to cope with all of the parts of his identity. So on one hand, he's a kid from this, not necessarily streets, but he's of Turkish descent, and he lives and his parents live in a neighborhood where factory workers, I believe, live. but he goes to university and becomes a professor, and he finds it hard to combine those two. He finds it hard to be of Turkish descent in the Netherlands. He finds it hard also to talk about his own experience in this background of culture and discrimination, because everything that he says will be seen as an example of this thing, but it's also just his life. And I saw him talk in a TV program, and I was very intrigued. I'm very curious about this whole topic of, you know, you want to be yourself, but you're also part of a group, and how do you combine those? So this is my nonfiction. As you can see, it's not a huge pile. It's only 5 books. Also because, I mean, I have in total, if you count the two this and this authors as 2 prompts, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 prompts, and I'm combining them into 5 books. So that's very doable. This is not a difficult this should be easy to get to. I'm curious how it's going to be to have this pile that I choose from more than the other books, and how I'm going to cope with. Technically, I can read this in about 2 to 3 weeks, although I keep forgetting that I read a lot. So now I look at this and like, but the idea is that I pick and choose from this, but I also just choose other books. So I'm going to see how it goes. I hope it gives some more direction to what I am reading. I'll keep you posted, obviously. If you have any ideas for content that you're like, hey, I've been wondering about this and that, you should tell me, because I'm always up for that. I have a huge backlog of tags still that I want to do, and I'm also going to be doing some more projects. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. How do you have a monthly TBR? How does that work for you? Because I see a lot of people that have a TBR and don't really get to it, and I think that's fine. But I'm curious to see, because I've never done that, how my experience is going to be. Would love to hear your thoughts. I'll see you in another video. Thank you for watching. Bye!